trade week finishes tomorrow, and it's just been an absolute cluster, just a shitstorm in the last 48 hours. So this is a bit more of a generic video, not so much Richmond-centric, but I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate that we have someone as capable as Blair Hartley at the helm of our football club when it comes to wheeling and dealing with other clubs, and we aren't finding ourselves in a constant shitstorm or a big epic shitstorm like what Hawthorn and Essendon and even Sydney, Carlton, Geelong, all of them are just, it's just getting messy, isn't it? And there's a day to go. Some would argue that trade week goes for too long. Keen to hear what everyone thinks about that. Should it just be like a 3-day bonanza? Why do we bother doing the first 4 or 5 days when no one really does anything? Then we're going to get all the hysteria about the 2 o'clock cutoff, and they'll hold back all these trades to announce at night time, and it's just all for show. It's all rubbish. But, you know, I look back to last year. We lost some contracted players. We lost, obviously, Dan Rioli, Shea Bolton. I know Liam Baker was, I think he was in contract, was he, for his one. But just look at how seamlessly and how effortlessly Blair and the team were able to orchestrate those deals with Gold Coast and with Fremantle. Like, there was some haggling, some natural haggling, but there wasn't this unbelievably ridiculous standoff between the clubs like what we're seeing with Essendon and Hawthorn, refusing to return phone calls and not giving formal approval or rejection of offers. I just don't understand why clubs are trying to play hardball, right? You've got a contracted player in Zach Merritt. He wants to leave. But don't be dicks about it, because all these clubs are doing is burning bridges and relationships and making it so that no one wants to trade with him in the future. And then you got what St Kilda did to Leka Lear. I know he's obviously just re-signed with the Giants, so good on him for being able to stay at the club, which is obviously good news for him. But to court him into wine and dining for a couple of years and then realise that you can't get it done, I don't buy that we don't have a pick scenario. I mean, they would have known this scenario for quite some time. It feels like there's a bit more to it, but yeah, there's just been a lot of really shady and shit actions in this trade period. And as frustrating and as annoying as it might be that we're not involved in a lot of this stuff, I'm just glad that we aren't involved in such a shitstorm. Because tomorrow, mark my words, there will be tears from a lot of opposition clubs that something hasn't gone their way. Someone will get bent over and reamed one way or another, whether it's Essendon with Zach Merritt, whether it's Rowan Marshall getting to Geelong and them not coughing up too much. It's just madness. But yeah, the main question I want to ask for this video, I still feel like, and I have for quite some time, I feel like that players in contract have way too much power. It's getting a bit beyond a joke now. Players who are in contract, if they want to break their contract and they want to leave their current club, that's okay. You're allowed to do that. You can have your say. But I think if you have a contract in play, that it then should just be up to the club's total discretion as to where they trade you for the best offer possible. Like, the fact that Zach Merritt's still contracted and he's only nominated one club for them to deal with, and it's not even been really an official nomination from what can be seen in the media, it's just batshit crazy. It's not, and you know, I don't mind teams having to cough up, but Essendon should be able to say, okay, you don't want to be here, you don't think it's a high performance environment, no dramas, sucks to see you go, but we're going to trade you to whoever gives the best deal, whether that's Fremantle, whether that's Port Adelaide, might be West Coast, whatever it is. I just think the players have way too much say. Totally different scenario when they're out of contract, like Tyler Young, for example. Obviously free to pick and choose where they want to go. They've served their contract. They've done the right thing by the existing club. So there's a bit more freedom there. But yeah, I just reckon if you contracted, to make the contracts feel somewhat worthwhile again, because at the moment, they feel like a complete waste of paper. Players are just signing on for 4 or 5 years, maybe even on front-loaded contracts and getting a huge paycheck early, and then jumping ship when there's 3 years left and the money starts to taper off a little bit. So clubs who are signing these players are getting shafted in a lot of different ways. And I just think the very least that could happen is the clubs should get some power. And I know there's always the argument about, but is it turning Americanized? Is it sending players to somewhere they don't want to go? Too bad. Don't sign long-term deals if you're not going to stick it out. And if you want to leave because you don't like the environment anymore, you go to wherever the club gets you the best deal. But yeah, look, it's a bit of quiet trade period for Richmond. There's still the possibility to add some players on like the supplement list and rookie spots and things like that. I still think there's a conversation to be had about Elijah Hollins. I know I'm not necessarily in the majority about that. I just think that if he's been getting his shit together for a few months now, and there's proof that he's turning himself into a professional footballer and wants to make right, I think there's a conversation to be had. Not to trade for him. I mean, it would be heavily reliant upon Carlton delisting him no matter what happens at the end of this trade period, which still might happen. And if that does happen, then you dangle the carrot of a train-on spot. Say, hey, we're happy to have a look at you, but you've got to train your ass off and prove that you want to make this work, and then we'll consider rolling the dice on you. You'd obviously have contract contingencies in place and a whole raft of things. But I think if you can work it down that path, I think it's something we should consider exploring, because he is actually, if you put the baggage to one side, the player type that Elijah Hollins is actually something we could do with right about now. So if he gets his shit together, would not be against that. But other than that, it sounds like we won't do much else tomorrow. I am interested. I still do think that clubs are going to be calling us to try and get involved in our pick 3 and pick 4. And that could be for tomorrow as well, to help broker the Zach Merritt deal, maybe to help with the Curnow deal in some way, shape or form. I just feel like, and I guess Ry Geeshan and Blair Hartley kind of alluded to it, that our picks are going to be hot commodities and teams are going to come for them. And I think that's going to happen also on draft night as well. Depending on who, it just comes down to who slips through West Coast's first 2 picks will then dictate who comes jumping over hurdles to try and take one of those picks from us. But as we all heard from Ry and from Blair, that it will have to be an absolutely shit-hot deal for us to even contemplate it. So I do take comfort knowing that the only way we're doing a deal is if we are fleecing somebody. And Blair has a good habit of doing that. And him knowing that our pick 3 and 4 is a hot commodity, he's probably switched his phone off for the first few days of trade week just to let people sit on the edge a little bit, like what he did with North Melbourne. So yeah, keen to see if we do get involved at all tomorrow. Probably less likely than likely, but we'll see how that plays out. And we obviously got pick 38 for Tyler Young, which I thought was a really good outcome. And, you know, that might be the only thing we do in trade week, and it maybe allows us to get another draftee, and maybe we have to use it on Louis Callaway, depending on where a bid comes in. But yeah, a bit of a quiet period for the Tigers this year. But what does everyone think about the chaos going on around us? I mean, it's almost worth doing a live on the Wednesday night just to see how this all unfolds, because there's going to be shit flying everywhere. It's going to be quite fascinating. But again, let's all just be thankful that we've got someone competent in our position, that we've got Blair Hartley in, who knows what he's doing and has relationships and is easy to deal with other clubs, because it's going to make a big difference going forward with how a lot of this shit transpires in the next 24 hours, I can assure you. But yeah, that's it. That's pretty much Richmond done for trade week. So let us know what you think about the shitstorm that's evolving for other clubs. Are you happily sitting back and watching it? Do you think Merritt gets to the Hawks? Does Marshall get to the Cats? Does Curnow get to the Swans? Do we play a part in getting some picks? There was some speculation that if Carlton and Sydney do a deal for Curnow and Carlton end up with picks 10 and 11 as a result, they are probably going to look to want to trade them out to get ahead of the Harry Dean bid, and then to also get into next year's draft for some extra currency for Cody Walker. I don't know whether we'd want to help them necessarily. We would only do it if it was to benefit us. But I think there could be some picks flying around tomorrow, which will be very, very interesting. But let us know what you think in the comments below. Boring trade week for the Tigers, but we're playing the long game. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm sure we'll have some different things to talk about next year, hopefully. But make sure you like and subscribe for more Richmond content. We'll have some more mock draft stuff coming in the next couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for that. And until the next one, go Tigers.